The Johto regions games are some of the most celebrated in the Pokemon world. Many Pokemon trainers, including myself, started in Johto, and it set the bar high for what could be done in a Pokemon game, from post-game to the soundtracks. I'm going over the most iconic tracks in the Johto series, and pitting the original Game Boy Color version versus the remade DS version. Do the 8-bit renditions hold up? Are the remade versions better? The OG game laid down the foundation of what it was trying to convey. Do the remakes make it sound better, or does it change the tone entirely? Let's find out, starting with... Personally, this song oozes nostalgia, and I can't help but feel like I'm actually at home. The melody is like a lullaby, but the bass notes in the song keep it playful and soothing. The song is very calming and comfy, for lack of a better term. I can't emphasize enough how homey it feels, with its surprisingly complex melody for a Game Boy Color game. The second part of the song really gives you that rest feeling, like a home should feel. The remade version is slower than the original, to really hone in on the sleepy hometown vibe. The added intro feels like they're letting you know you're playing a remake, which I think is a fun touch. The jingly chimes are soothing and gentle, with the woodwind instruments giving off that warm, gentle breeze which literally blows in the game. The second part starts with a simple chime, and instruments cascade to fill in the blanks. This is really cool in my opinion, as the song gives this kind of mysterious, I wonder what awaits you kind of vibe. The winner is HeartGold and SoulSilver. The instruments give an added depth to the song, and the additions they made, like the solo chimes, add some flavor. The intro hits you with a ready or not panic barrage. The pre-chorus has this daunting build-up, which is cool because it acts like the intro to the Gym Leader. The melody is ominous and incredibly intense thanks to the tempo and the main and backup voices. The second half of the song starts with a build-up that expands into a tone that I couldn't think of anything other than distress and danger. There is a short 4-note break before the song jumps back into the chorus, and it further drives the sense of urgency during the battle. I think Johto's most infamous gym leader, Whitney, fully utilizes this helplessness and disparity in power that the song is conveying. I really don't like the use of the light instruments in the intro. The original 8-bit sounds were harsher, and it felt like getting flashbanged because it was so sudden and impacting. And this time around, it feels feathery. The pre-chorus is still intense, but the use of the hi-hat snares combo is a cheap but effective way to emanate urgency. The second part of the song is where I think this version shines. The orchestra hits echo in the silence between hits as the guitar continues on. It feels like walking up a steep uphill, and the payoff sounds like you're about to reach the top, but instead the song picks up and the flood of instruments send the message of, you've still got a long way to go. The winner is Gold, Silver, and Crystal. The alarming intro is integral to the theme, and the tone felt more impactful in 8-bit. Azalea Town's melody gives a lazy little village vibe. It's spriteful and happy, yet lazy and relaxing. It felt like a second home, and for many trainers, it was, since we didn't know how to progress in the story. The tone of the song is incredibly laid back and chill, just like a slowpoke. The intro really felt like the start of an 80s love song. It feels a little less lazy and more upbeat with the introduction of drums. This changes the tone of the laid-back village to a more welcome to Azalea Town feel, and I think that's a really good thing. I like how they maintain the lighthearted tone of the song and just use instruments to fill in the 8-bit sounds. It is simple, yet effective. The biggest difference is the main voice instrument. 8-bit didn't have much of a choice, so they went with a very high-pitched bit noise. The DS chose a combo of woodwind instruments and a chime, which I think gives the town more life. The winner is HeartGold and SoulSilver. The Game Boy sounds like a lazy river. The DS version sounds like a welcome to the new town. Intense. The tone of the song is incredibly overwhelming, as if your rival really wants to crush you in battle. The melody starts pretty followable, but as the song progresses, it becomes much more complex, reflecting how your rival isn't going to hold punches and wants to demonstrate the difference in power. The song reaches a 6-note rest point that emanates that you've been able to keep up with him, and just as quickly transitions back to the chaos of the main melody. This version speaks for itself. It's even more intense with the introduction of instruments. The military-esque snare drum really hones in on the urgency and intensity, while the bass is turbo-aggressive. I love how they meticulously slow down this section and the pace of the action before slowly ramping it up back into the main melody. They double down on the 6-note resting point and extend it a while longer just to hold your suspense. The winner is HeartGold and SoulSilver. National Park is easily one of the most iconic songs in the entire Pokémon franchise. Nothing describes this song better than lying down on a warm grassy meadow watching the clouds go by. Nothing happens in this area, it's just really pretty. Like even the bug catching contest, you don't even catch bugs to this song. And the second part of the song just sounds like a Bruno Mars collab just waiting to happen. Oh wait. They made the intro sound like you just proposed to your significant other and they said yes. There's a very billowy intro as opposed to the Gameboy Color's long legato notes. This version has a slower tempo, which is necessary to pull off the shimmery effect they were aiming for. This song went from lying down on the grass to watch the clouds, to lying down on the clouds to watch the stars. Then the second part I couldn't help describe any other way other than Sinnoh-esque. They turned a simple gentle melody into a grandiose epic performance. I'm gonna have to give this one a tie. The Game Boy game simply reminds me of a time gone by, and the remake is a dream come true with a song that exceeds our expectations. Ecruteak City greets you like the morning sun. The chorus includes the morning intro, as well as a new voice that plays in harmony. The two voices merge and diverge off of each other's melodies, which mirror the story of the two towers. One voice sounds cheery, like the spring, and the other sounds calm, like winter. This song reflects the theme of life and death intertwined, like how Ho-Oh revived the three beasts. The second part is fluttery and uplifting, and the melody made me feel like no matter what's happening, you're gonna be okay. It was so reassuring. I could be reaching a bit, but that's how I felt. And all this before it resets right back into the intro. All this sounds really nice, but it's too extra. They added so many unnecessary additions to the original melody. I understand they're trying to give it a very traditional feudal Japan feel to the city, but it ruined the soul of the song along the way. At no point did I feel the duality of life and death within the song. It was just lost in translation. I thought the intro was perfect. I was like, oh man, here we go. But the rest of it was just way too extra. It felt way too forced. Like instead of exploring the city for yourself, they shoved down the wonder and mystery right down your throat. The winner here, I'm gonna have to give it to Objection! Ah, there it is. This is how it should have been, the soul of the song preserved and remade to modern perfection. Well, almost. The main instrument, is that an accordion, a trumpet, some type of horn? Whatever they used, they kind of ruined the mood for me. I mean, they could have used a flute or a woodwind instrument. Yeah, just like that. Overall, this is my preferred rendition of Ecruteak City and encapsulates the story of Ho-Oh and the three legendary beasts. The winner is still Pokémon Gold. The converging melodies in 8-bit are just irreplaceable. You are a liar if your mind wasn't blown when this dude told you that you just stepped into Kanto. Route 26 is a textbook adventure theme. You took what you learned in Johto and are taking it to Kanto. The intro sounds like you just unlocked something, which, you know, you kinda did. This song echoes Satoru Iwata's shining moment when he said, "No, I don't want this game to end with beating Lance." So he found a way to reduce the file size of Johto and fit Kanto into it. And the rest is history. This rendition is just as triumphant and adventurous as the original, but the instruments give it an extra oomph. The marching snare drum to me is the most important piece in the song. The marching onward tone I get from the drums, Overall, the tone of the song is preserved and remastered perfectly. The winner is HeartGold and SoulSilver. This intro is the most disorienting out of all the tracks. Then, no hesitation, no build-up, it just jumps straight to the chorus. In comparison to the original Kanto Gym Leader theme, it's way more intense and completely builds its own melody. The music team really outdid themselves with this song. The level scaling had to be much higher than the original since you, the player, were the Johto champion. And so, you were met with an epic ballad of the Johto champion versus the Kanto leaders. There's no disorienting intro, but I really like this change from the Game Boy version. It kept the disorientation with the two orchestra hits, but then deviated away from the harsh descending notes and instead crescendoed to the chorus, which I think is absolutely brilliant. In this portion of the song, notice how they kept some semblance of disorientation by changing the lead instruments when they repeated this verse. And to avoid oversaturating the song with too much adrenaline, they allowed a brief break in the song before continuing with the chorus, which is unique to this version. I feel that the Game Boy version of the song was way ahead of its time, and when the technology finally caught up, the remix team poured their heart and souls into this one. The instruments added a new pulse of intensity, and I believe that this was how they originally imagined how it should sound when they composed the song. The winner is HeartGold and SoulSilver. Every battle theme in the game started with a harsh barrage of descending notes. Not this one. The champion theme starts with an unsettlingly calm rendition of the Pokémon theme. The intro gives way to a menacing pre-chorus that I can only describe as standing in front of a tidal wave. The chorus comes crashing down, and now you're left to fight this relentless force in front of you. Red, the Kanto legend. This song teeters the balance between when to rush you with adrenaline or when to tone it down and build tension, all within the span of 1 minute. This is my favorite Pokemon champion theme, and it perfectly executes its role as the final boss song. Chimes. Why did they add chimes? The chimes are such a mood killer. What was once an epic Goliath at the end of a road became some whimsical dream motion. The chorus doesn't even feel remotely menacing. The way they support the lead instrument with a quiet woodwind instrument with its own melody, I personally think is a mistake. It sounds so out of place, like it's telling its own story within the grand scheme of the song. It isn't until the repeated orchestra hits section that the song achieves some sense of urgency. They did the pre-chorus Pokemon theme correctly, which was intense, but then everything else kind of flutters off. I also don't understand the decision to slow the song down 5 beats per minute. A fast tempo usually evokes a feeling of intensity and urgency. Slowing down the song hurts this tremendously. They really tried to sparkle something new, as a remake should, but they fell flat on this track. The winner is Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. The Johto games have some of the best, if not the best, soundtracks in the entire Pokemon franchise. Every route, city, had a memorable song attached to it, and it was really hard narrowing down the choices. Even while I was editing this video, I had to cut some of the songs out. Overall, the winner is Pokemon HeartGold and SoulSilver. Not only are the remastered soundtracks amazing, but also most of the songs maintain the tone and feelings of the original. And yes, even though some songs do miss the mark,
just turn on the Game Boy sounds and everything's better.